Welcome everybody. We talking about sports. Thanks for clicking. Thanks for stopping and clicking on our video and joining us to watch. Since you're watching, it takes just a couple clicks. Go ahead and share it up. We can get everybody else to join and enjoy and get to see what's up on our show today. We are covering 2024 NFL futures. All right. And a couple of the plays we need help with. We don't know if to take it or not. There's 6 plays that we're going to need your opinion on. Tonight, it's the 3-man weave. Unfortunately, Justin, the OG, is a little sick. He got that bug that's going around. But I got Roland with me. I got Ben with me. So, boys, how you feeling? And are we ready for the 2024 season?
Oh, I'm ready. Football's in the air. I can smell it. I can pretty much taste it at this point. I can take a bite into it. If there was something there, I would fully take a full bite out of that because I'm ready for some football. I'm ready for tomorrow. Get it kicked off with some week 1 NCAA football, no longer week 0. We got a little appetizer last week with the football games that were on Georgia Tech and Florida State. Florida State back to their old ways. But anyways, yeah, excited, ready to talk some NFL, ready to talk fantasy possibly later in the week. But yeah, ready to get into it. And I like that polo you got on. Not on the Cowboys in any futures. I didn't see them here in the slides. I know I'm not on them. Maybe we can give them some love, talk about them a little bit later. Just signed CD. Has to talk about that. Or have to talk about that a little bit. Signed CD to their big contract. But anyways, I've talked enough. I'm back here.
Hey man, don't worry. You're just excited. And yes, it's the first show, man. I had to get a little formal, had to throw the collar on. I know when like Ben goes golfing, he wants to have fun, but then he wants to look good at the same time. So I took that mentality for the show. Ben, that smile tells me everything, dog. You ready too?
Yeah, you mentioned golfing. I'm ready to golf this weekend. But no, football's been awesome. It was nice having a little bit of college football already this past weekend. The Georgia Tech and Florida State upset was good. Stayed up late Saturday night watching Hawaii football. Hawaii playing up until like 1 a.m. So a little taste of football already here. NFL, we got fantasy football drafts going off this weekend. If you're in a league with a commissioner that knows what he's doing, they wait till the week before the season starts, get all those injuries out of the way. It's exciting here. I think we're 8 days away from NFL football, so really excited.
All right, man. Hell yeah. So I take it that you're a commissioner of your league, and yes, fantasy. This should be the last week. I have 2 drafts on Saturday. Have you done yours, Roland, or you still have a couple? Well, we have ours.
I got one. I got one out of the way. Sunday, was the last official day for preseason. So nobody was really playing week 3. So I know Ben just made a comment right now, but everything was already out of the way by week 3. And plus, you can still get value when you dropped a little bit earlier. There's a lot of the ADP still out there to have a lot of value to be had. So. I had a draft, got 2 more this week. Got a keeper league that I've won with both of you guys and intend on winning it one more year. I don't think either of you guys have won that league, so got that going on, and yeah, just ready to get into it.
Hey, we're just getting started in that league. Take it easy. But all right, man. So tonight what we're going to do is something we do every year. We've done for the past couple of years. We're going to give you our NFL future bets. These are bets that you need to put in now if you're a betting person or if you just like to have some fun. You need to put them in now before the season starts. So we're going to go ahead and call this Back to the Futures because that's what we're doing. Back to the Futures for 2024. Let's see, man. Let's go ahead and see what we got.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, that's on me. Let me get up the screen here.
Hey, man, this is what the show's for. We're dusting off the cobwebs. Plus, the system is new, and Justin isn't here. So this is why we need you, Justin.
No days off, Justin.
No days off. No days off, my boy. Oh, Ryan's already on. What's up, Ryan? Steve is already on from NRG Inc. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, this is going to be more
already on.
This is going to be more of a futures show here, Ryan. Thanks for joining us, but we're definitely, Ron mentioned that we can't wait to do those Tuesday night waiver wire shows where, you do have to give up some gems, give up a little bit of game to the homies just based off what we're thinking for fantasy football. Maybe sometimes a little misdirection and send people the wrong way, the okey doke. Sometimes you just got to do it to them. So, yeah, excited for the fantasy football shows that are going to be coming up here soon for sure.
Yeah, man, we're excited, and I'm excited. How many leagues are you in this year?
5.
Oh, you don't think that's too much? Like you don't You know, you don't have that common
No, because I'm usually like in the same 3, but then I get in 2 random ones just because, like, there'll be somebody who needs a. Last year, it was one of my coworkers needed somebody to fill in their family league, ended up winning it. Like, just because you never know how people are going to draft. It's always nice. You hear stories about, oh, Dak went first round in my draft. That's how you, bro. You get in these random drafts, where quarterbacks go number 1 and whatnot. So yeah, I just jump into random leagues every year.
Shit.
Yeah,
all right, man.
Home leagues have their own tendencies for sure. Finally got the screen up and running. Apologies for those difficulties there, but let's get into it. Like Ron said, is Back to the Future. Let's get to it.
Yeah, hey man, we're not a Bristol, Connecticut over here. We ain't Pat McAfee. We ain't got thousands of people behind these cameras, helping us out. So it's only us 3, bro. All right, so let's go. Ron's team futures. I'm just gonna run through them real quick. I got the Colts over 8.5 wins, getting some plus money. This is a big one, man. I've seen this as a consensus on a lot of betting sites. Arizona over 6.5 wins. It's a little juice to minus 160. I think Ben's on this play also, or something similar with the Chargers over 8.5 wins at minus 150. I'm not even going to think twice on the AFC side. I'm not going to try to outthink myself. Give me the Chiefs to win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl again at plus 325 versus Detroit in the NFC at plus 550. And I'm going to cover this up when I say this, Philadelphia to win the NFC East at minus 145, man.
Hey, you can't bet with your heart.
Yeah.
Oh, we thought
you got to remove the emotion from these decisions. Definitely like that there, Ron. Seen a lot of people on that Philadelphia to win the East. I like your AFC winner. I'm not going to argue there. Kansas City Chiefs. If it's not broken, don't fix it. I like it. But I'm going to stop here on Indianapolis over 8.5. Okay. I'm going to have to part ways with you there. I'm not with that. I don't think I'm not as high on Anthony Richardson as everybody else. I still think he has a lot to prove as a passer. He's dealt with injuries already early on. Really haven't seen him pass at any level of football yet. And for him to sustain that throughout a football season, I'm interested to see if he can do it. So I would be on the other side of the 8.5. I think the Colts are going to come in 3rd in that division. I think it's going to be between the Jags and the Texans. I was going to say the Titans, but no, Jags and the Texans there. So yeah, I like the rest of your picks. I do like Arizona. I think they're going to sneak up on some people too. And I am undecided yet on the Chargers. I think there's just a talent issue there with them. So on the 8.5, might have to part ways there too.
Ben, what are you feeling, man, on team futures? What are you tailing? What do you hate?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you're on Kansas City because you're usually the one like trying to be sharp and fade Mahomes every year, talking about Chiefs not to make the playoffs mid-season.
Lesson learned.
When it's looking rocky. Definitely lesson learned. That's what I'm seeing here. I like what you're talking about with Philly to win the division. I have a feeling that we'll see that on my card as well. And then just to touch on Indianapolis, I mean, obviously, diehard Texans fan, lifelong, never rooted for anybody else. So they're a rival, but Anthony Richardson, just like he said, I mean, I was weary of Lamar coming into the NFL. So why wouldn't I be weary about Anthony Richardson? It's insane to me that off of 2 games or 3 games last season, he's being drafted where he's being drafted. Like, with the way that he plays, it's I mean, I hate to bring it up, but it looks like RG3.
It's hard to stay on the field.
Very RG3-like. Hopefully he learns, but one of his biggest weapons, and even, why people draft him in fantasy, I know not a fantasy show, is for what he can do with his legs, right? But, I mean, the Colts over 8.5 wins, you're not asking for double digits. They can win 9 games and still miss the playoffs. But is Anthony Richardson going to be the guy there the whole year? And is he even that guy with the 3-game sample size? I know you're going to hate on CJ Stroud a little later, but what have we seen from Anthony Richardson?
Dude, can we just stop? Can we stop and put some attention to this comment? The first shot just got fired of the year right here. And he came out swinging. He didn't even try to snipe you.
That's how you bring people out and into the chat, Ron. All right.
I like it. Ben's never shying away from any of that. Gotta respect that. But yeah, with the Anthony Richardson thing, it's just because of the numbers that he put up in those 2 to 3 games, and even doing that, it wasn't that impressive passing the ball. I just think a lot of people are putting a lot of stock in those numbers, like the average per throw that he actually had. So, and then casting it out over a whole season. But he's got to be able to do that on a consistent basis. I don't know if he can, but if he cashes Ron, that's a plus money bet. So can't hate on that.
Real quick on that stat. I mean, last year they won 9 games. They had I think we're going to talk about him a little later. They had Gardner Minshew back there. No Jonathan Taylor. It was Shane Steichen's first year, and they already hit that total last year with all those things. So this year you would assume that they'd get better. So that win total being the same for last year with a worse team on paper. I mean, I thought that was a good play.
Yeah, that's a compelling bet for sure.
So let's go ahead and switch it up. Let's go to my player futures. We'll take off this comment from Joe T, man. That was tough. That was tough to read because. All right, so staying with the Chiefs and eating crow for the last 2 years. Give me Mahomes, MVP, Jamar Chase, and CeeDee Lamb as 2 options for your offensive player of the year. I put them both up there just because the odds are similar. So even if you sprinkle on them, you can sprinkle small and still win big. MHG is Marvin Harrison Jr., rookie offensive player of the year. I think me and Ben were thinking great minds think alike because I'm also sprinkling a little bit on Daniels to win rookie offensive player of the year.
Edges all over the place. Edges all over.
I mean, look at those odds, plus 475 for him and then plus 700 for Marvin Harrison Jr. They do always give it to a quarterback, man. I saw some stats where you had guys in their rookie years, rookie wide receivers like JJ who went off, and then they gave it to a quarterback that year. I forgot another rookie wide receiver went off too, and they always tend to give it to the quarterback. So in staying in that mindset, comeback player of the year, Aaron Rodgers. He was the biggest story last year. I mean, what do you guys think? If he gets over 500 or he has to make the playoffs, does he win this automatically? I mean, at plus 200, is he kind of the sure shot? I think the second one was Joe Burrow. So it's kind of a 2-man race, in my opinion, with your boy Anthony Richardson that y'all were talking about in there as well.
Yeah, I think Rodgers, rightfully so, is the short favorite here. I mean, he busted his Achilles 4 plays rather into his New York Jets debut. Everyone's joking around doing the Aaron Rodgers highlight tape from 2023, and it's him just walking out with the flag, and then that's pretty much it for his season. So yeah, and to answer your question, I don't necessarily think he needs to have an MVP caliber season to necessarily get that. I think he needs to get them to that 9 or 10 win mark, maybe win the division, for sure make the playoffs, and it's all but a lock for him. And he 40 years old, coming off an Achilles, something that's I don't know if that's been done before at that age. So yeah, I agree with you there, and probably would sprinkle some on that as well. What do you think, Ben?
Ben, fading, staying away. What are you doing here?
I definitely don't like that comeback player of the year. Right?
Well, he's not going up against somebody that passed away and came back to life. So he has that going.
Damar Hamlin might go back to back, bro.
Yeah,
he might go back to back. But Rodgers is not a guy that the media really likes after the whole COVID era and just his stuff. I don't know. I don't like it. I think that for a guy that's won MVPs to win comeback player of the year, I just don't see the media giving it to him. So I don't really like it. And then he's the odds-on favorite. So I'll disagree there, even though I do like the Jets to, be decent this year. But yeah, I like Daniels for rookie of the year. And then on the offensive side, I mean, I do like going with the receivers for offensive rookie player of the year. I think that we saw Tyreek Hill won it last year.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's got to be a big year. CeeDee Lamb, it's hard because he just had the best year of his career this past season.
For sure.
And he just got paid. And usually when guys just get paid, they don't have the best year of their life. So that it might be a year too late there, but Mahomes MVP as well. I mean, maybe the Chiefs get back to it. I'm not mad at it, Ron, but the one that I don't agree with is the Rodgers one. I just don't see it. I think he's beyond that.
Yeah, I see myself probably before the season starts putting a little bit on Daniels rookie offensive player of the year. I think the Commanders might sneak up on some people, maybe compete for a wild card spot there in the NFC. And then on the left side, I do agree. I like taking receivers. I think I got one on my slide when we get to that. The only thing I'll say about CeeDee Lamb, to kind of detract from what Ben said, they're going to throw the ball even more this year. They got less in the backfield than they did last year. No more Tony Pollard. They're putting it together. They just signed Dalvin Cook. He's going to start on the practice squad. But then you got Rico Dowdle and Zeke Elliott. Dak Prescott's going to sling it this year even more than he did last year, I think. And who's that going to go to? CeeDee Lamb. Mm-hmm. And he's just going up against Cooks and Tolbert. I could see CeeDee Lamb eating this year, and he plays out of that slot position better than anybody in the league. So I think that's live for sure, especially if the Cowboys do have success passing the ball. I mean, the season, it could go either way for the Cowboys this year. Can maybe spend some time at the end talking about that as we talk about our respective teams, as we usually do. Yeah. But yeah, I like CeeDee Lamb, Offensive Player of the Year, and then not going to get mad at you for Mahomes MVP, because I mean, the Chiefs are there every year. He's the reason why they're there. And I mean, last year, you look at the MVP, Lamar Jackson didn't have the greatest year by like MVP standards. Numbers across the league were down. Mahomes' numbers were part of that as well. And I could see him having a bounce back year. They got weapons now. They got Rashee Rice in his second year. Looks like he's going to beat the allegations, not get suspended. And then you got Xavier Worthy, fastest guy coming out of the draft. It could be scary for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Yeah, they could put up numbers for sure this year. I like that bet.
Hell yeah, man. Well, this is the part of the show where we're going to ask the chat to come in. If you guys are watching, go ahead and give us your opinion on these two plays right here. We kind of touched on it, so we won't have to stay too long on this one. But we had the Colts. I was saying over 8.5, but this is kind of cool to talk about because you guys said that you kind of weren't agreeing with it. So they had the record, like I said, of 9 wins and 8 losses last year. They did finish third in the South. Sorry, it's small over here. Gardner Minshew, like I said, was the quarterback last year for after Anthony Richardson got hurt. Michael Pittman was the star receiver with 1,100 yards, and Zach Moss, who was no longer even with the team, carried for 764 yards. Now on the bottom, key positions, guys: Jonathan Taylor back, Richardson, who you guys just talked about, and Steichen in the second year. Like I said, we don't have to stick too long on this one. We already covered it. We know you guys aren't feeling it. I'm riding with it at plus 115. We can go to the next slide, or we can keep talking about this. It's up to you guys.
No, let's give the chat some time. Ryan thinks that they're downgrading for Minshew, going to Anthony Richardson. So,
Ryan.
Ryan coming in strong, voicing his opinion. He will be on the under there. Ryan don't want to give out where he lives, but he is in a betting state, so he might be able
lives in a badass house
to walk over to a kiosk and place a bet himself. Lucky man. But yeah,
I don't know too many people on Anthony Richardson, but I don't think they're going to be too happy after this.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, for me, like I said, when we talked about it initially, and we'll give the chat a little bit more time to give us their opinion if anybody else does, is I just don't believe in Anthony Richardson as like a sustainable like quarterback. I don't think he can make enough throws throughout the course of a game to consistently win you that. I mean, we didn't see it at Florida. I said that before, and you don't want to sound like a broken tape recorder, but we just haven't seen it from him. If he comes out there and proves us wrong, then okay. But I mean, there were some concerning things coming out of camp. And again, you got to take this with a grain of salt because this is the opposite team, but they had team practice as they always do, the joint practices towards the end of training camp with other teams. They were gearing up for their preseason game with the Bengals, I believe. And the Bengals defense came out of that practice session just talking trash on Anthony Richardson, saying, you got to throw the ball. When are you going to throw the ball? All you do is tuck and run. And then, damn, you're inaccurate. Like just saying stuff like that, like completely bad-mouthing him. Go out to the preseason game, and he didn't look that good throwing the ball. He had a couple good runs, but there are some concerns from my side, not trying to, crap on Ron's bet at all, but just detracting a little bit just based on that Anthony Richardson.
No, man, there you go, Ryan. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what it's about. It's just everybody talking about it, giving your opinion, and then who knows? You can kind of say, you know what, this guy's making very valid points. I'm not going to spend my money on this bet. Let me go ahead and take something else, like the next bet that we have.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you guys want to bring that one up. Ryan says they need to pick up Darrell Doucette. All right, so let's go to Eric.
Ron, don't draft Darrell Doucette, Ron, on one of your drafts Saturday.
Why? What's the insight there?
Sleeper.
Well, he ain't sleeping anymore. Ryan just woke him up. All right. Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals, man. Over 6.5 wins. Let us know what you guys think. It's a little juiced, so everybody kind of thinks that they are going to get those 7 wins at least. They ended the 23 season with a record of 4 wins and 13 losses. They did get hot at the end, boys. But they finished last in the division. Joshua Dobbs, fucking journeyman in 1 year, played for like 3 different teams, it feels like, threw for 1,500 yards. Trey McBride, the trade heard around the world when I traded Travis Kelce for Trey McChicken wings, what Mark called them.
McRibs.
In the keeper league, right?
In the keeper league, yeah. Snagging 78 passes for 791 yards. James Conner, who is actually still there this year, carried the ball for a team high 890 yards. So we do have the addition, boys, of Marvin Harrison Jr. Kyler Murray should be back, the whole season. And then the second year for Coach Gannon. What are we thinking here? Are we taking the juice? Are we fading the Cardinals to get to 7 wins?
Go ahead, Ben.
Personally, I've never been a big Kyler Murray guy. Really didn't believe in him. Even when he won the Heisman, I couldn't believe that he was the number 1 overall pick, to be honest with you. It does seem like, they got some weapons over there now. He had a lot of smaller guys. DeAndre Hopkins did put up some numbers with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, to me, is not a winner, but he is a guy that'll go up there and at least let the ball fly, give his guys a chance. 6.5 wins here. I mean, they don't even have to go 500 for this to cash. So it's not a lot to ask for. You got a highly touted draft pick at wide receiver with Marvin Harrison. Probably one of the odds-on favorites for Rookie of the Year as well. Got to think Kyler's going to be force-feeding him. Trey McBride. You got James Conner. So, I don't want to put a spotlight on the Cardinals because I do think that, based off where some of their guys are going in fantasy, they're at value. They're going to be playing from behind. They're going to be throwing the ball. Just probably not winning too many games. So the Cardinals do entice me this season.
Yeah. This one's tough for me. You don't want to touch on it too much. 'Cause like Ben was talking about, I do like some of their players individually from that standpoint. And, they do have some weapons. Like their receiving core is not just Marvin Harrison Jr. They got Greg Dortch, who can get open on anybody. He's going to be running that slot. They got Michael Wilson, second-year player, who looked pretty good in spots last year with multiple different quarterbacks throwing to him. So they got some guys. They got Trey McBride, as Ron alluded to. I wrongfully gave him up. Shame on me, but he's going to be good for the Cardinals this year. For me, it's tough because I do like the Cardinals. I think they're going to get better. Kyler Murray showed that he still got something left in the tank when he came back there the last couple games of the season. So gotta think they're going to be good. Gannon knows what he's doing. Defense is still a little shaky. But the thing that scares me, and I'm going to have to look into it a little bit more because they got some tough games in the beginning of the season. And for me, they got to stay strong. I mean, they start the season at Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo has proven to be shaky in the beginning of the year, so maybe they get that one out. But then they got the Rams, Detroit, the Commanders, at San Francisco, at Green Bay. Those are their first 6 games of the season. So, I mean, if they come out of that 3-3, I think you're sitting pretty. But if it goes wrong for them, they come out of that 2-4. Who knows? Maybe 1-5. But if they come out of that 3-3, I like that bet, and they can just sprinkle some wins here and there throughout the rest of the season and get you home. So yeah, I'm not against it. I need to look into it a little bit more. But yeah, over 6.5. I mean, you're asking them to get to that 7-10. I think that's doable. Kyler's been waiting for a bounce back campaign. I don't think Call of Duty's releasing any games soon, so he should have his full focus for the beginning of the year. Yeah, I like this bet. I just got to look into it because I do think the schedule's a little scary. But yeah, this is live for sure.
Not only that, but if they don't win 7 games, they're going to be asking some serious questions, I think, after.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him a contract. It was much talked about when he got it, for sure.
Yeah, so, and the other thing I'll say is, like, in NBA terms, we say, like the Hornets in past years, the Rockets recently, like, they're the NBA League Pass team. I think that the Cardinals could be, that Sunday ticket team to where they're in shootouts. You see them on Sunday ticket a lot, big plays and whatnot. So I do think that there is some potential with the Cardinals.
Yeah, they do give me Charger vibes. You know, those teams that stay in close games and they end up losing it at the end with a field goal, or somehow they fumble on the last possession or throw a pick. But let's get into Roland's picks, man, because I really like some of his. They're really long odds, and who doesn't like to make a lot of money with a little bit of cash?
Yeah,
Roland, throw it down for your player futures, bro.
Let's get into it. I'll try and keep it short and sweet here. Doesn't get too late on a
Let's hear it all.
But yeah, so the four player props that I got for you guys, and I got some more, but these are the four that I wanted to share with everybody. Go from left to right. Got Chris Olave plus 3,300 for most receptions in the NFL. Then I got Puka Nacua plus 2,000 offensive player of the year. Got that in earlier in the summer. Hopefully he builds off of that with another strong sophomore campaign. Then Bijan Robinson, second-year player out of Texas, playing with the Falcons, betting on him for most rushing yards at plus 1,200. I think he's like third or fourth on the board. I think Breece Hall is the odds-on favorite there. And then a different MVP, different quarterback. I got Josh Allen plus 650, and I'll stop there. My angle there is kind of similar to when Patrick Mahomes won his MVP, not this past year, because obviously Lamar Jackson won it, but the year before, it was just off of Tyreek Hill leaving. Everybody was talking about the Chiefs, like, what are they going to do without Tyreek Hill? Are they going to have a down year? People are going up against them. And what happens? Patrick Mahomes puts together an MVP campaign.
I was one of those guys.
Leads them to the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl, and the rest is history. I'm not saying that Josh Allen's going to do the same for the Bills, but I mean, for the Bills to be any form of competitive this year, he's going to have to be Superman. I mean, he's been the fantasy quarterback 1, quarterback 2, quarterback 1 the past 3 years. Hard to argue him from a fantasy standpoint, but just, MVP, for them to have any semblance of being close and competing and to even want to win their division, they're going to need Josh Allen to be Superman. The storyline, I think, is going to be there. Stephon Diggs is gone. Gabe Davis is gone. His best weapons are tight ends and his running back, James Cook. His best receiver, arguably, is Keon Coleman, a rookie from Florida State who dropped in the draft. So people are down on the Bills. I think they might surprise people if Allen is playing at an MVP caliber. So that I like that pick there at plus 650. I think the odds I got him at was like around plus 900. I think I have. So that was a little bit earlier. I think 650, or those are the accurate odds as of today. And then a couple fun ones here. Puka Nacua, just betting on him to, again, build off of that rookie campaign where he smashed the all rookie records. It's hard to, topple that from a statistical standpoint, but if he's close, if he has that year, I think he's, in line for potentially, winning this award. And if he builds off of that, I mean, the sky's the limit for this kid. He's going to be the main option. I know Kupp is back. I think he's a sneaky option to surprise people fantasy-wise, but different story, different day. And then the two on the left, Olave plus 3,300. This for me is just, I'm looking at the team around him. There's literally nobody else there. I think the next best receiver is Rashid Shaheed. He's finally going to get a go as a true receiver this year, and he's even battling an injury. No more Michael Thomas there. They got a new offensive coordinator, former coordinator for the 49ers this past year, passing game coordinator, Clint Kubiak. Going to find some ways to get Olave the ball. He was already, over 130 targets last year. I can see him getting 150, 160 targets this year with an improved passing game. Of course, I'm betting on Carr to get it to him. So that's going to be the shaky part of that bet. But hey, for some lunch money, there's worse things you can do with that. And then Bijan plus 1,200. I think he's going to get more touches than he did last year. That's a start because he got eaten a lot of his workload got eaten up a lot by Cordell Patterson, by Algier. Algier's still there. No more Patterson. Different coordinator. No more Arthur Smith kind of, taking him out of the game and without telling people and having you wondering what's going on. I think it's going to be a little bit more solid. The team around him is better. There's higher expectations for the Falcons. Get to that later. But yeah, I like Bijan Robinson, probably arguably the most talented running back, pure talent right now. Could be, the next CMC once CMC starts to wane down in a few years. Yeah, the sky's the limit for Bijan. It's just plus 1,200. I think the talent's there. Just got to go out there and execute. And to get the most rushing yards, it's not what it used to be, getting like 1,900 yards and stuff like that. So, I mean, he can get it with like 13 or 1,400 yards.
Shit, I like it, man. The one for me real quick that I like the most is that Olave, just because that's a stat to me that gets overlooked by all the other high-profile stats and all the high-profile records. I mean, you really don't know who had the most catches last year. You probably know what receiver had the most yards. But as far as catches go, that's a stat that can easily get overlooked. And at plus 3,300, I'm definitely sprinkling on that, man. So that's one of the plays that I really do like. Ben, what do you love? What do you hate here?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Puka fan. I mean, like Roland, in trading, we were hunting championships last year. I traded Puka midseason for Olave. So interesting to see both guys on the screen. But he also mentioned a little bit about Kupp. The biggest thing for me is Matthew Stafford. I mean, yeah, he's great, but he is getting older. He's getting banged up. I mean, he does get hit often. So, and for Puka, kind of like I mentioned with CeeDee Lamb, how can you do better than last year? I mean, I know it was a career best for them, and you can always beat your best, but it's just tough to follow it up, the following year. So, not the biggest fan of Puka Nacua in all this year. Love the Bijan, love the Olave plays, even if it's Carr. I mean, Carr loves checking down. He also loves targeting his main receiver. He was able to support Devontae Adams when he was in Vegas together with him, just because he'll throw the ball to the main target. So a lot of checkdowns. And even then, I mean, I know we shitted on this guy a lot on the college show that Justin would have us do on here, but Shane Rattler, he's looked pretty decent, man. I think that the Saints do see him as their next quarterback, just based off what they've seen and just the talk that there's been around camp. We know Olave has already publicly campaigned for him as well, as far as in training camp and mini camp. So I do like the Olave and Bijan play. Josh Allen for MVP. I mean, shit, the roster is as diluted as it's been, the last 5 years for him. So if they're going to win 10-plus games, we're used to seeing them with one of the highest win totals, of all the teams. This year, they're not one of the highest win totals. So if we see them win double-digit games, maybe even win that division, it's going to be because Josh Allen is playing hero ball, spreading the ball out. It's weird because that's one of those where he's the first quarterback taken off every board, and he's probably the most predictable QB1. But when you look at his receivers, there's no shot that anybody can be wide receiver one. Kind of tricky, so that just means hero ball for Josh Allen.
Yeah, you might get him more for his rushing yards, but going to Spencer Rattler kind of reminds us of any other, curly-haired, blondish guy, I want to say, Patrick Mahomes is. I'm not going to put that on him, but hey, we didn't know much about Patrick Mahomes either. And the Puka story real quick, you reminded me, Roland, with your stat up here, with your pick. He was the other receiver that just went completely off and broke records and still didn't win Offensive Player of the Year. They gave it to
CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, CJ Stroud. So another wide receiver that got no love for having an extraordinary year. Let's throw your team
let's do
features up there because I'm excited to see these, man.
Yeah, so got 4 also up here. A couple division winners and an under for the season win total, and that's where I'll start. Pitt under 8.5 wins. This is, I mean, I know they got there last year, 9 wins. They got there with Kenny Pickett. They had some good games from their defense. They're always going to have that. But I'm just really betting on them, taking a step back offensively. There are 2 quarterbacks this year, Russell Wilson, who just got named as a starter, Justin Fields, who I think will see some time. Because Russell Wilson, I know people are trying to bring up that he had a pretty good year despite everything that happened in Denver. I think that was a little bit more of the scheme, kind of some of the games that they were in at that time, forced him to throw the ball a little bit more, pad up those stats. I'm betting against the Steelers. I don't think they're going to get to that 9 wins. I'm sorry, Mike Tomlin. I think your record is going to go down this year. Going to miss the playoffs. And their offensive coordinator, I have Bijan up here. He's smiling because his offensive coordinator is on the Steelers right now, or his former offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, Mr. FedEx himself. I don't trust him. I think he's going to take the Steelers a step down. That offense is going to pay for that. They're going to go under 8.5 wins. I've been trying to get this to go the past couple of years, so just going to stick to that. I'm going to add that caveat there. The other one, I'm going to go up. Atlanta, sticking with Bijan Robinson. Atlanta to win the division. this is one of those bets. It's a little too good to be true. They're minus 130. I think that's gone up a little bit more. They're in the 150s, 170s now. They just signed Matthew Judon, stacking up that defense, or traded for him rather. Made some big moves. They signed Kirk Cousins, or traded for, I can't remember what it was, but Kirk Cousins is their quarterback now, coming up off that Achilles. They said he's good to go for week 1. They got a new offensive coordinator. They drafted Michael Penix, number 9, so they're good even if Kirk goes down. That's what the word is, at least, because Penix has looked good. And then you look at the division around them. They got nobody there. I mean, we just talked about Derek Carr and the Saints. I don't expect them to do much. I don't trust Dennis Allen. You got Baker and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just lost their offensive coordinator. I know they got a new one in that should be good and hopefully keep things going for them. But you got Baker and the Bucks, and then you got the Carolina Panthers. So I see a lot of easy wins on their schedule. I think, generally speaking, outside of the division, they have a pretty friendly schedule. I'm going to try and pull it up right now. But at those odds, it's just one of those where I'm just like, is this too good to be true? You know, Atlanta has been a team that they've really have played around with the quarterback position the past couple of years and still have like gotten their way to the 8 wins or 7 wins. And I think this is the year. Obviously, I mean, they got Kirk Cousins that you'd want to see them put it together. So I'm going to bet the Falcons at those odds. And not going to look back. So, and if it goes against me, you know, it is what it is. But on paper, it looks too easy. So then let's go here to my next bet. Cincinnati, AFC North, tough division to bet just because I think you got 2 alphas at the top. Last year was a little bit different with the injury to Joe Burrow, but you got the 2 alphas in the Ravens and the Bengals. I'm taking the Bengals to win the division. I think Joe Burrow is going to be fully healthy. I'm expecting the Ravens to take maybe a little bit of a step back this year. I know people are still on them, but this is just more for me betting that it's hard to repeat in that division. So I'm just going to take Cincy. They're fully healthy. Their odds are around the same as the Ravens. Kind of a coin flip. Not really worried about the Browns. I know a lot of people are, you know, talking about that defense, but I really do think that Deshaun Watson might be toast. I think that shoulder might be done. I don't know. It's already been a year. Let's see if he has a good, comeback this year. He's another guy who might, be in the running for CPOY. And then the Steelers, not really worried about them in this division. So yeah, give me the Bengals. And then this one, I'm just gonna, I know I have Josh Allen to win MVP. This one, I'm gonna take this. Haven't officially taken it, but just for the sake of the show, I do like the Jets to win the division. And this is just kind of, I'm using the same logic that I used last year when we were talking about the Packers. And interestingly enough, I was talking about Aaron Rodgers in that same take, where I was saying the Packers to make the playoffs when we were talking about the NFC North. I was just saying, hey, Jordan Love just has to be a little bit better than mediocre, or, just better than what Aaron Rodgers was the year prior. Because if you remember, Aaron Rodgers, he was injured the last year that he was with the Packers. Didn't end well, ended with him throwing an interception. They didn't even make the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers at the helm that last year. That's when the Lions knocked him out. They're in the last game of the season. So then I'm just using the same logic here. Aaron Rodgers just has to be better than what they had at quarterback last year. And even with what they had at quarterback last year, Zach Wilson, Mike White, and probably another guy that I'm forgetting, they still reeled off a good, decent amount of wins. I'm going to try and pull up their record last year. But if Aaron Rodgers is anything close to what he was, I'm not going to say his MVP season, anywhere in between his last stop in Green Bay and his MVP season, which I think is fair, is in the realm of possibility. I think this bet is live. They got a good team on paper. Their defense is still stacked. Give me the Jets. This might be their 1 year to do it with Rodgers, at 41 years old. But yeah, I'll let you guys give your takes on my picks.
The Jets one, man, I think Coach Salas over there is going to have them in every single game.
7-10 last year. 7-10.
7-10. All right, so I like that play. Not going to touch the Pittsburgh play because I'm hearing that good things about George Pickens, and I like that RB2 that they have over there. I'm going blank on him. Jaylen Warren. I think he might be due for a good year. And Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin. He's going to be at 500 every year. A game off, or a game could be a tight game. And that's really the only thing that I like, man. I'm not going to believe the Bijan hype till I see it. He does need to be unleashed, and I'm glad that that coach is gone. So we could see a huge year for him. But Kirk Cousins, right? I mean, are you going to trust him or not? That's what that bet comes down to me, and I'm just going to lay off it. But I do like your Jets pick, and the Bengals for one is tough for me too, man, because is Joe Burrow fully healthy? We know T. Higgins has a lot of drama over there. They have Zach Moss coming in. Joe Mixon is gone as well. So a lot of changes over there.
Yeah, and I'm a little scared. Jamar Chase might miss week 1. Who knows? Showed up to practice today in his street clothes. Zach Taylor even came out and said that he kind of put his foot in the mouth. So I'm a little worried there for sure. That's a good point. Ben, any takes on here? I know you might have a common one with me, but any takes?
I like some and I don't like some, Roland, to be honest. So what I do like, and I think the common thing you said, like that the Falcons had played around with their quarterback position recently. I think the Steelers are in the same position. And both teams are going for it. We saw them go out and make offseason moves. Shit, the Steelers even brought in Fields, who I like more than Russell Wilson. But they brought in 2 guys for that quarterback competition. Just 1 year removed from drafting Kenny Pickett with their first-round pick, who, man, the Steelers usually draft well. So if they weren't so set on the hometown kid at quarterback, who knows what stud they would have found, in the teens of the draft based off their resume. But the thing comes down to the division. And for Pittsburgh, they're in a tough division. They officially named Russell Wilson the starter today. Yeah, I've hated on Russell Wilson when he was winning 1 Super Bowl with the Seahawks, and I'm going to hate on him now that he's showing his true colors. He's been passed around the league. He's on that Westbrook treatment right now. Yeah. The Steelers also is a locker room where I feel like you can't be fake in the Steelers locker room. I feel like that's a locker room where Mike Tomlin has control, and we might need to see that other side of Russell Wilson. I'll be on record saying I think that Justin Fields will end the season as a starting quarterback. And I mean, if they're going to go under 8.5, I think that there's decent odds that Fields is probably going to come in and replace Russell Wilson, because that means if they're going under, things aren't going too well. For the same reasons, though, as that division being that tough, is why I disagree with the Cincinnati pick. Just a lot up for grabs there. I know, you mentioned maybe a little bit of a downfall with the Ravens, but shit, the one thing that we've been saying, the Ravens just got to go shore up that running back. In comes King Henry. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know exactly what it's going to mean for them. They do lose the star, Odell Beckham Jr. Shout out Marky Garza. Going to have to probably buy a new jersey this coming year. But for the Ravens are just really well coached. They got Derrick Henry, and they're already really good at running the ball. So I'll stay off of the Cincy one. And the Jets one, a lot of competition in both of those. I just feel like, the Bills have been the spotlight. Maybe now with their downfall, it becomes the Dolphins' time. Maybe it becomes the Jets' time. At the plus odds, though, I do agree. I think that division is up for grabs between the Jets, the Dolphins, and I'd probably put the Bills as the 3rd team on there. I don't know exactly what the odds look like, but it's up for grabs. So for that reason, I'm going to shy away. Love the Pitt play. Love the Atlanta play. Atlanta went for it as well, and that division just isn't very good. Nobody else in that division went for it. Yes, the Bucs retained Mike Evans, but you still got Baker there. These guys not only drafted a quarterback, but went out and paid Kirk Cousins. So there is a backup plan there no matter what. And now everybody feels like this is a year of Bijan. Ron said, unleash Bijan. I really like Atlanta to win that division. I think that they're kind of going all in sense of their own team. Like, we're going to be relevant again. And in doing that, I think that they do win that division.
Nice. I like the takes, and definitely, on the other sides of those Cincinnati Bengals and Jets picks, definitely valid concerns there. Have some concerns myself, especially with that Cincinnati one. Scared about that Jamar Chase situation. Never like a guy holding out this late, especially when it could cost some games. Going to take a game or two to ramp him up. Hopefully they get it out of the way soon. He does not have that much leverage if we're getting down to it. I mean, yeah, they want to pay him to get him on the field, but he's still got this year and one more on his contract. He's a year behind CD in terms of, the holding out and when he came into the league. So hopefully they get that resolved soon, but definitely understand the concern there. And yeah, Atlanta, it's just, come on, it's too good to be true that they got to come through and come through for the boys here.
I think I pulled that 130 today if it wasn't already up there rolling. So who knows? But 130, even a minus 160, I like it. What's up to Gabe and what's up to Alan and what's up to Neil? You guys just started watching, man. So this is the perfect time that you guys are joining because we're going to go over 2 picks. You guys let us know if you would take them or if you would not take them. The first one's going to be the Lions to win the NFC conference. All right, so they ended last year with a record of 12 wins and 5 losses, finishing first in the NFC North. We already know what happened there. They went crazy. They haven't won a division since like the 90s. Jared Goff threw for 4,200 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught over 100 balls for 1,300 yards. David Montgomery was like a touchdown every game kind of dude. And we haven't even talked about Jahmyr Gibbs. I was waiting for him. Yeah, probably sounds like he lost Ben some fantasy games. Hutchinson, pictured here on the screen, had almost 10 sacks. And the key fact, though, guys, all that is all good and well, but they did lose in the conference championship. Jared Goff's their quarterback. St. Brown's a standout receiver. And Mr. Dan Campbell is obviously coming back for another year. Everybody in the chat, what are we doing? It's plus 550. Are you guys taking the Lions to win the NFC, or are you fading them? Let us know. And whoever wants to go over this, be my guest.
Yeah. I didn't talk too much about the Lions when you brought it up on your screen, but now that we have it up here again, I think they're live. I mean, you look at the NFC, you're really looking at the Lions, the Packers, the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Cowboys. The 49ers, they've been there the past couple of years. How much longer can they realistically keep this going? They too have some drama with Brandon Ayuk. They're arguably a number 1 receiver, has yet to take the field for them in practice. They're hoping that he's there to get ready for their season opener against the Jets, which the line is moving against them in that game, if anyone is curious about that. But yeah, I like the Lions. You got to think they take that next step. For me, what it comes down to is, can they get home field advantage? And I know it's lazy to say that Jared Goff, and it partially it is kind of true, but he is a different guy in a dome versus when you put him out in the conditions on the road and in somebody else's field, rain, snow, it gets to him a little bit. I think he's gotten a little bit better since he's gone to the Lions in that regard. He's playing in those cold weather division, has to go and play in Green Bay and Chicago twice a year. So yeah, they can get home field advantage. I like this. It's tough to go into Detroit, and you got to like that offense. Only going to get better, I think. So yeah, I think the sky's the limit for the Lions.
I don't think San Francisco is going to be able to do well just because they went to the Super Bowl last year, and usually the team that goes doesn't do well the next year unless you're Tom Brady and you were just there every single year. I don't have love for the Cowboys, and I think the Eagles, in my opinion, will give them the biggest competition. Ben, agree or disagree, man, on the Lions winning the NFC?
I'm going to disagree, although I like what they've been doing. I think that they've set a really strong culture with Dan Campbell. I know Gabe mentioned him, Campbell, whatever it is, seal it. He set a good culture. As lazy as it is, I like another team in this division. So I think, if it does come down to Goff having to go and play in Lambeau in, December, January, months of the playoffs and, late in the season, I think it will take effect. So the Lions were a cool dark horse, but now when we're getting the Lions as like one of the odds-on favorites, I don't think that, yes, the culture is changing. It's still Jared Goff. You know what I mean? I don't think any of us consider him an elite quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't think you can say that anymore, though, what you just said. I really don't think you can say that. I think he's already he's resurrected himself. Like he was damaged goods when he left the Rams for sure, but he's proven he's here to stay. I don't think you can say.
But you still say that about some of those guys until they win the title. Like in every
but not
sport.
everyone's winning the title though. Who's won the title the
No.
past couple of years? Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
I get it, but like in any sport, you say, "Oh, that guy is just not one of those guys," because they haven't gotten the title.
Not only that, dude, but I mean, and we always say it, and I'm a victim of this too, because there's guys that I'm going to say the same thing about, but at the NFL football, it's the most team-centric sport. Like there's a lot of quarterbacks. We were saying the same thing about the guy that he got shipped out for years. Matthew Stafford sucks. Not sucks, but Matthew Stafford can't get it done. Matthew Stafford, diamond in the rough. Like, when's he going to win the big one? He's just a stats guy. You put him in a different situation with the Rams, what happens? He wins the Super Bowl. Not saying Jared Goff. Well, actually, I mean, they're almost odds-on favorites to win the conference. So he's going to have a chance to be one of the final teams there at the end of the year. And it's partially because of his play and what he does for that team.
But
I think
when we did our QB top 10 rankings, like we still don't even have him as a top 10 guy in the NFL, is what I'm saying. And then if I have Jordan Love in my top 10, I just favor the Packers in that division over them. So maybe I am being a little too harsh, like, and how nonchalant I'm throwing Jared Goff's name around, like, oh, it's still Jared Goff. But I'm saying, like, yes, he is definitely an NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he's not an NFL quarterback, but we've seen his ceiling. He's definitely not an elite NFL guy. I don't think that it's like Matthew Stafford where he changes teams. And yes, he has been better, but I still don't see him winning a Super Bowl. And until I see it, I'm not going to be convinced. I don't know if you all are all the way there, but I'm not shitting on him like, oh, he's not even an NFL quarterback or anything. I just don't see him winning a Super Bowl, so I'm not going to take the Lions to win the NFC conference, pretty much.
We'll let you wrap there because I know you have a play on Green Bay later, so you can finish off your point there. But as far as the Lions go, guys, it was 24-7 at halftime versus the Niners. I mean, we're we're a fourth down call away. We're literally a yard away from these guys going to the Super Bowl, from Jared Goff being there already.
Or we can call him a choker, like everybody else gets called when they blow a lead like that. Like, it just depends what side of the spectrum you want to look at it.
Yeah, well, I just think you can't knock his performance. That's kind of my thing. Is like Roland said, his career isn't done. Everybody was saying that he wasn't shit, and look at what he came and did with the Lions out of all teams. It's not like he went to an awesome team that was already stacked.
No, but he had been to the Super Bowl with the Rams, like.
Right, and then he gets there. He has the opportunity to get there again, and he puts a good year. I don't know. He was highly ranked on my quarterback top 10 list. If you guys want to see it, go back to our social media pages. It's there. Let's get to the next bet.
I like that, Ron. I like that.
It's there, man. It's there. We keep all the receipts. All right, boys, the Chiefs. Fucking Patrick Mahomes, like, this guy is just so nonchalant about winning. Like, just makes it look so easy. All right, we already know what happened with them. We already know who their players are. I'm not going to bore y'all reading that. Are y'all taking them at plus 325 to get back to the Super Bowl? Plain and simple. Is the AFC going to give them any competition this year? I'm going to say yes.
I think they'll get some comp. I mean, it's the NFL. I think they're going to have some tough games. I might wait in season maybe to dabble. Maybe once they've taken a loss or two. I don't like the plus 325, but I don't disagree with your take that the Chiefs are going to be there at the end of the day. Because, I mean, if you're asking me right now who I'm picking in the AFC to come out and be my Super Bowl pick over doing that, I'm picking the Chiefs. I mean, I can't make a case too strong of a case for anybody else. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, Roland was pretty adamant about the Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl. I know some of us on the pod were trying to go against the grain. He stayed pretty down with, hey, until Patrick Mahomes showed me that he can't do it, why the hell would I go against him? I agree, but I agree more with the in-season thing because also, like I mentioned, Ron, you've been, hey, maybe Chiefs not to make the playoffs mid-season because they always have some sort of turmoil. Last year it was Kelsey starting a little bit slow. This is just
the Swifty.
There's no way that this is the best number you're going to get. It was what I was trying to get at. Like, there's always a bumpy road in somewhere in their season to where plus 325, like, that's pretty much what you're getting with them going in hot into the playoffs, damn near. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
I agree with Roland as far as wait till in season, middle week 6, week 7, who knows? Maybe they have 2 losses under their belt. You're going to be looking at something above plus 500, not plus 325.
Yeah, unless they go fucking 4-1, right? The first 5, and then the plus 325 starts.
They could lose
pretty
opening
good.
night. You know, the champs sometimes lose when they get their rings.
They got opening night against the Ravens, right?
Yeah,
it's the Ravens Chiefs AFC Championship game rematch.
Shit, I can't wait for that, bro. What's that? That should be a Thursday, right?
Yeah, that's Thursday night. Kansas City. I'm pretty sure they're gonna show. I don't know. They do the banner thing. I forget, but
that Thursday night feeling.
Their first game back is back-to-back champs, going to try and go for that three-peat. If they go for the three-peat, I mean, good God, just just hand the league over to the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes if you haven't done it already. But we got some more picks to get through.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with Ben's.
Ben's got some picks to go through. Let's get to it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels as Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, like we talked about, the Commanders. They have the likes of Scary Terry. They have Brian Robinson. They did just trade Jahan Dotson. But for Daniels, it's a guy that can get it done both running and passing. He is an older guy, a little bit more mature, coming off a Heisman Trophy, not just, this freak combine guy like Anthony Richardson. So I do like Daniels to kind of take the reins, hone his team, and, make the Commanders respectable. I don't think that they're going to be a team that's just going to be getting blown out left and right. A little bit of a homer pick here, but I'm just going to keep riding the wave. And, man, there's no doubt that C.J. Stroud is a media darling. Like, that's half the battle with winning the MVP.
The media darling.
You got to have the media and the voters behind you. It's the shit I said with all of those Curry MVPs where if you're the golden child, you're the face of the league, you're being shown. I mean, why aren't they going to vote for you or fix it for your ass? So, give me C.J. Stroud there for MVP. And, I mean, Roland had Roland, I know, might have been talking off camera. I don't want to divulge too much, but you have the Texans having a decent season this year as well. That does lie on the shoulders of C.J. Stroud. And then this is straight fantasy purposes here and pretty much just a guy that I think, is the next CMC. Breece Hall, maybe not the workhorse as CMC, but just the explosiveness, the receiving, the rushing. I love Breece Hall with the likes of Aaron Rodgers. Those checkdowns can go 60, 70 yards, and Aaron Rodgers isn't scared to check the ball down when he needs to. So I do like Breece Hall to win Offensive Player of the Year. I think he has a monster season this year as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, I love that Breece Hall pick. He's a guy that, like Ben said, can kill you just rushing the ball as a traditional running back, but you also got to watch out for what he can do coming out of the backfield as a wide receiver. I want to say he got, close to 700 yards receiving or something crazy like that last year with the guys that we mentioned at quarterback earlier. So upgrade at quarterback. I love that Breece Hall pick. Going to be winning some games so where he can run the ball a little bit more too. So that's in his favor. I like that. I like the Daniels Offensive Rookie of the Year and CJ Stroud MVP. If someone is going to take out the Chiefs and the Texans end up do making a good run or not even necessarily taking them out because the MVP is awarded before that. But it's going to be on the arm of CJ Stroud. They're lethal on paper. They got weapons everywhere. They're, 4 weapons deep at wide receiver when you include their tight end. They got a running back in Mixon. Yeah, I mean, it's all lining up for Stroud to have a monster year. Let's see if he can come through with it.
And for Stroud, he was in the running last year. I mean, late in the season, there were MVP odds on it. I'm not saying he was the odds-on favorite, but he was like one of those 5 guys. So now on an offseason where they go and they get him a veteran running back like Joe Mixon, a veteran wide receiver like Stephon Diggs, things that they lacked in that playoff game against the Ravens. I feel like why not now, right? If he was in the running last year and now he's got all that height, he's been running around with Micah Parsons all offseason doing the media stuff. Like, I just feel like it's kind of the perfect recipe as long as he goes and balls out on the field.
NFL loves the passing game. That's what scores points. That's what gets people in the seat. We talked about a lot of quarterbacks not having a lot of weapons, like Josh Allen. A wide receiver circus like Patrick Mahomes has had the last couple of years. Lamar, they went out and got a running back. They didn't give him any help at the wide receiver position. So just like Roland said, all the tools are there for him. He's the media darling. It's a big market in Houston, Texas. So I could see the plus 850 as a play opposed to the Chiefs, like you guys were saying, wait till mid-season to maybe jump on this 850 now and not wait for it to go up
and especially things go as planned, like team-wise for the Texans. I could see this, catching some steam because they are the favorites to win their division right now. We didn't talk about them as a division play, but they are the favorites. It's a division that on paper they should win. People aren't high on the Jags, the Titans, or who's the Colts. Really, I mean, I know Ron is, but you got to think the Texans are the best team on paper there. If they come through and get that division like they're supposed to, let's call it a 11-6, 12-5 record. CJ Stroud is doing his thing in that scenario probably. Yeah, I mean, plus 850 is going to be live for MVP. I like that bet. The only way you lose it is if they do take a step back or something, which I don't think anybody is anticipating that.
Yeah, and for them, kind of how we talked about Patrick Mahomes starting the season with the Ravens, the Texans start with the Colts and the Bears, both games where they're going to be favorites. Week 1 on the road against the Colts, and then week 2 they're going to be favorites Sunday night against the Bears at home. So it is kind of opposite to where we said Mahomes, catch him after a little bit of controversy with the Texans. It's kind of they have to start off on the right foot and set the tone for their season, right?
Yeah.
Schedule also shapes up that way. So you start off 2-0, 3-0. I think that 850 is going to be down, below plus 500.
Those are 2 indoor games, two games, maybe some track meets. Yeah, who knows? I like that. Ron, any last takes here on Ben's takes, or you wanted to see the team features?
Just that I'm hearing something special might be going on for that Bears Texans game, but that's neither here nor there.
We'll cross that bridge when we get
there. Ben, wrap it up with your team futures before we get to our finale of the Survivor Series.
Not too much in Atlanta because we already pretty much broke that one down like a pound, but Atlanta to win the division. Same with the Eagles. I mean, only competition we really see is the Cowboys there. We know how that's looked recently. The Eagles also added Saquon Barkley, a team that's championship or bust, so give me them to win the division at those short odds. The Chargers, I'm going to go to make the playoffs here. Instead of the over wins, I'm just going to go make the playoffs, probably get in under a wild card. The weapons are not anything like they've been. Keenan Allen is not there. Mike Will made it, is gone. Austin Eckler, gone. Antonio Gates has been retired. It's going to be real football. It's going to be NFL move the chains football under
Michigan
Harbaugh.
Style football.
Yeah, I think that they start playing under, a very controlled environment, less chances for Herbert to have to play hero ball and win them the game, just based off of his arm. I like the Chargers to come in second in that division and get a wild card spot to make the playoffs. And then, I disagreed with the Lions pick. I had Jordan Love as my number 10 quarterback in my top 10 QB rankings. I'm buying the hype. I'm going Green Bay to win the division. I think it's a 2-team race. I'm not buying the Caleb Williams hype. And obviously we know what who's the other team there that sucks?
The Vikings.
The Vikings, right? Their quarterback situation is a shit show with JJ McCarthy getting hurt.
Sam Darnold, baby.
Yeah, 2-team race plus 220 odds. Give me the Packers to, at best split the series and hope the Lions lose somewhere else to lose the division, but give me the Packers. And if they play in the playoffs and the Lions have to go to Green Bay because Green Bay wins the division, I like the Lions' chances at home in the playoffs as well. So yeah, that rounds up my my futures for the season.
Well, and it's perfect because the last 2 slides are plays on these, so we can get through them real quick. I believe the second to the last one that we have is the Chargers right here. I have them at over 8.5 wins. You have them to make the playoffs. All right. So last year they had 5 wins and 12 losses. They lost their coach. There was a change. Just like you mentioned, Keenan Allen, the leading receiver, gone. Austin Eckler, gone. Justin Herbert remains, but we did see him early in a walking boot in the season. Another guy who's a little fragile, but got paid as well. Big news, guy pictured on the screen, Jim Harbaugh, in that style of offense that he likes to run. Austin Eckler was quoted as saying, I don't want to be a guy who they're going to hand the ball off to 300 times, 200 times, a year. Don't sleep on their defense either. They still got solid guys over there like Khalil Mack and defensive end Joey Bosa. If anybody's still watching, let us know. Are you taking them over 8.5 wins? I'm saying yes. I think Ben is saying yes because he has them to make the playoffs. Roland, be the deciding vote here, man. Where are you leaning?
Man, so this one, I have a couple thoughts here. I like Ben's play to make the playoffs, so over 8.5. I can maybe get there. For me, this, just looking at things like this. Last year, Ron, you mentioned 5-12. They had 7 games that they lost within a touchdown. We're talking less than 6 points there, 7 games. If you flip a couple of those, which I think Harbaugh, just alone, just knowing what to do, just being like a mature person, just back there as a head coach, game manager, not Brandon Staley, who you thought was playing Madden at times. It's Harbaugh there, so he's good to flip 2 or 3 of those games just on knowing what to do as a game manager and getting you to win a victory, getting you to win a football game. And then the thing that scares me are the weapons. You still got Herbert. He was dealing with a little plantar fasciitis. I think he's going to play through it. So hopefully that does not rev back up throughout the year. But if it doesn't, Herbert's still a great player, and I like him with Harbaugh. They decided to go O-line, beefed up the O-line in the draft, didn't draft a receiver. I forget that Joe Alt was the guy that they drafted. Perfect Harbaugh guy. A unit, like Ben is saying. So yeah, I like what they've done. They've made the right moves. I think you guys might be a year too early. So I'm gonna go on the other side and say I will watch from the side and wish you guys luck. But yeah, I would probably lean on the under this year. I just see too many question marks for them. Defense is still good. They kept their guys. They kept Mac. They kept Bosa. They got Derwin James. So still got a solid defense. Gotta like that. So yeah, it's going to be close. I see them right 7-8, and if things go right their way, they're 9 wins, and both of y'all's bets probably cash. So it's going to be close.
Well, what I do like about this is the division. I mean, aside from the Chiefs, and we know that the Chargers do tend to play the Chiefs tough, even under the direction of Staley prior. But when you see Antonio Pierce head coaching the Raiders on the other side with Gardner Minshew starting, and then you got Harbaugh and Herbert. I like them to take care of what they're supposed to do in the division as far as beating the Broncos twice and I know it's hard to say because division games can go either way, right? But it's just I see such a big mismatch coaching with the Raiders and Antonio Pierce, and then the Broncos, like the Broncos are trying to figure it out. I mean, I know there's still some of us on this podcast who still don't believe in Bo Nix, although he was named the starter, right?
Yeah,
it's going to be easy. It's going to be simple, but are you going to beat, somebody like Harbaugh? The preparation is going to be different. So I'm banking on the weakness of the division and them sweeping the Broncos and the Raiders both, picking up 4 wins. They're damn near halfway to the playoffs, So that is what I'm banking on.
There we go. I believe Harbaugh hasn't lost. Has won 9 games in the majority of his career. I think there was the year before he left the NFL to go to college where he had 1 bad year. Yeah, but other than that,
he's a winner.
I believe he's had 9 years.
He wins everywhere he goes. So I definitely like that angle for sure.
All right, Ben talked about this team as well to win the division, and I did too. It's the Eagles with the newest addition there, Mr. Saquon Barkley at -145. They finished last year 11-6. Jalen Hurts 3,800 yards. AJ Brown 1,400 yards. Huge year over there for him. And DeAndre Swift, bro, was their running back. He is gone. So in steps, Mr. Barkley. Jalen Hurts is still there leading the team. We kind of did see some kinks in the armor coming off that crazy year the year before. Maybe some turmoil, dare I say, with AJ Brown and him not vibing as much. Devontae Smith, you thought he'd kind of have a CeeDee Lamb kind of year, but he did and he didn't. What is it here, boys? Are we taking the Eagles to win the division?
What say you, Ben? I think you were on the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I was on this play. I just think that they're so far ahead of the Giants and the Redskins at this point. And then when it comes down to the Cowboys, I mean, more often than not, they at least split at worst, right? At worst. And I just think the Eagles are in a Super Bowl window right now, right? And although, it's kind of, and I'm just going to throw a little bit of shade. I know y'all aren't the type of fans, you're not. But, the Cowboys Super Bowl window is every season when the season starts, right? Realistically, though, the way we've talked about on the podcast, y'all are both on the same page thinking, the Cowboys are really going to have to overachieve and literally rely on the shoulders of Dak to get there. I like the overall team, the culture. I know there was a little bit of turmoil, You still have Jalen Hurts, who was an MVP, finalist and runner-up. You bring in a guy like Saquon, where the Steelers have been doing it, with guys like Scott and just
DeAndre Swift last year looked good.
Cereal bowl of running backs. Like just plug them in. Kind of what we've been saying about the Ravens after Dobbins gets hurt every year. Here comes Saquon Barkley, a division rival. Like, bro, one thing I can tell you is automatic. When the Eagles play the Giants, Saquon to score a touchdown, it's going to be a part of those Sunday parlays put together, right?
For sure.
Like, he's going to get in. That tush-push might need to take a little bit of a backseat this year. Not saying they still don't run it. We got to remember Jason Kelce is gone. So now adding Saquon, maybe they get a little more towards the edges. But, yeah, overall, I think the Eagles, they just got to beat the Cowboys, like I said, at least once, and I think that they win this division. So,
all right, so that's a yes for me, a yes for Ben. Plan on here. You're gonna make it a consensus? Let us know.
Yeah, no, it's a consensus for me here. I can't really take too much away from the Eagles going to the season. I know they ended the year with some turmoil. There's some stuff there. I think Jalen Hurts and Sirianni were having some back and forth. As we know, Sirianni was calling the plays this past year. Didn't suit him so well towards the end. He's taking a back seat. Familiar face, another division guy. He spent some time in another home this past year, but makes his return to the NFC East. None other than former Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore.
I thought you were going to say the Clapper.
No. Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator for the Eagles. I think it's going to be good for Jalen Hurts. I think it's going to be good for AJ Brown. Heard some, guys talking fantasy talk earlier. Might see some more time in the slot. Kellen Moore did that for CeeDee Lamb while he was there. Worked wonders for him. We see what CeeDee Lamb has done. So I like the Eagles. I know, and the biggest talk for them, really, other than Kellen Moore and adding Saquon Barkley, was them talking about what are they going to do with the tush push? Are they going to run the tush push anymore? So. And Ben said it, they're in a window. So I'm bringing that up to say that it's not, I forget the word, but they're just reloaded. They're ready to go. They're here for another season. I think you can put the division in the bag. I think the Cowboys can compete with them a little bit, but I just don't think the Cowboys are going to have that good of a year, to be honest. So I'm with the Eagles. The Cowboys might sneak in wild card, not going to, crap on them all the way, but I like the Eagles to win this division. Like Ben said, they're in a Super Bowl window. They mean business when they step onto the field. They still got all of their weapons, added Saquon, new offensive coordinator, different scheme. Hopefully Jalen Hurts comes through as a passer, which I think he will. I like the Eagles to win this division and then see what happens.
It's honestly the scenario that the Bills have been in the last 2-3 years, where we've been saying, like, all right, Bills to win the division, and then it might look, maybe a little shaky. They just end up winning the division because they're the best team all around. Yeah. And, although the Bills aren't that anymore, right, while we're talking about the Jets to win the division, but the Eagles in that division, just all around, you talk about receivers, they're 2 or 3 deep now that they added Dotson, right? Inter-division trade. You get Saquon at running back. You got Hurts at quarterback. Like, when you look at it position by position, CeeDee Lamb probably might be the best player on the field overall. But when they line up against the Cowboys, who are going to be their main competition for this division, the Eagles, I feel, have the superior players. They
have the better roster for
across the board. Yeah.
Seems like it's a 4-man consensus with Edgar here saying bank on the Eagles to win a division. So that wraps it up, man. If you guys missed any of the plays, we'll put them on our social media. So go ahead and follow us there so you can ride the futures along the way with us. But we are going to wrap it up with our Survivor Series pick. We're going to go over the rules so we can get this little clip put up. We actually already have contestants. We have some money in. You see the ticker on the bottom. So ask us for the link and we'll DM you just to make sure there's no fakes out there. You ain't sending your money to We Talking About Sports ghost account or something like that. Last year the pot was over $700, $720, $760, something like that, and one lucky guy got to take it home. $20 entry fee. Multiple entries are allowed. So if you want 3 entries into the contest, that's $60. 2 entries is $40. No mulligans. This ain't Ben on a Saturday morning. You get no breakfast ball here.
Just off the first tee box, man.
Off the first tee, I'll give you that one. Winner takes all. Pick a winner each week. No spread. So Don't even got to worry. It's either win or lose. And you cannot use a team later in the season after you have already selected them. So if you pick the Cowboys week 1, you cannot pick them for the rest of the year. All picks are due Sunday before kickoff. If you don't make a pick, if you party like Ben because you golfed all day and you don't wake up, then it's a loss. All right, no pick equals a loss. Venmo at We Talking About Sports. We also have Cash App. What do you guys got to say about this? Are you surviving this year? How long are you surviving? Roland and me went the furthest, but Roland, I feel like your strategy.
You ain't first, you're last. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. When we talked
we lasted
about
longer
it,
than you.
When we did when we did that last the last pod, when we brought up the survivor pool, I mentioned, yeah, I'm gonna deploy a little bit different of a strategy. Not gonna try and get too cute with it, but definitely gonna try and save some of the big dogs for the end and for those weeks when it gets dire. And when you get Ron, it because you survived there towards the end.
Yes,
You're looking for a team to choose. It gets real dicey. We ended up going out because we were like, yo, we got to save like 2 of these other teams for the end. Let's take the Commanders. And what happens? What happens? Sam Howell throws like 5 picks, sets the record for interceptions thrown in a game or something like that. I don't know, something ridiculous.
They were playing like the Panthers,
Sunday.
right?
Yeah.
They were playing the Panthers or some shit, bro.
Yeah, something they had the matchup doesn't go our way, but hey, it's fun. Like
it was in Washington too.
Yeah, in Washington at home, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like half the pool went out with Kyler Murray, and not even Kyler Murray,
Cowboys.
Josh Dobbs and the Cardinals beating the Cowboys like week 3 or week 4, and then that shrunk the pool right there, and that's how Ron and I found ourselves there towards the end. But yeah, my main thing here is just make sure to make a pick, because I mean we had somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they lost and they were 6 or 7 picks in. Or 5 or 6 picks in, and then they forgot to put it in there towards the end. I forgot who it was, but it happened. So just don't be that guy.
And then we all got super excited, like, hey, it's 11:58. They
Yes.
haven't made the pick. Hey, it's 11:59. They haven't. Oh shit!
Don't
it's
tell
locked.
them.
It's
Don't
locked.
tell
And
them.
they
Don't
didn't pick.
tell
Don't tell them. Don't tell them. Ben, are you winning it all? What's the move this year?
Yeah, this year I'm going 2 entries just off the bat.
Okay.
I will have my mulligan. It's going to be my second entry. I'm not saying I won't use both entries for the same pick. Because like Roland said, man, at the beginning, like, you can't be cute. Just survive. Let other people be cute and weed themselves out. And then you start figuring it out. Well, as soon as we started talking about it, I pulled up the week 1 schedule. There is one line of over 7 points in week 1.
The Bengals?
The Bengals against the Patriots. I have a feeling that's going to be a very popular pick. The next biggest line is the Bills -6 at the Cardinals.
That's a scary game right there too.
Or the Cardinals at the Bills.
Yeah, Cardinals at Bills. Yeah.
There's a lot of great matchups. Packers at the Eagles. You got a field goal spread. Giants at Vikings. 2 shit teams. You got the Falcons and the Steelers. Everything's a field goal.
Hey, sign me up for Atlanta. Let's do that.
Dolphins and Jags. You got the Bears favorites at home against the Titans.
Oof,
The
that's
Saints favorites at home against the Panthers. The Chargers favorites at home against the Raiders. The Seahawks favorites at home against the Broncos.
And the Bengals have screwed people over early in the season before this. Not this season because Joe Burrow was hurt, but I think the season
when they
before
started off
that,
rough,
they lost the first game of the season, and I think it was against the Steelers. They were almost double-digit favorites in that game.
Bills did the same thing.
Yeah, something like that. I might be getting them confused on who the opponent was. But
but there's a lot of tough picks. I mean, week 1, we might see a lot of people on, the Bengals, and who knows, maybe Jamar Chase doesn't go out there and they look a little rusty, and the ghost of Bill Belichick crawls out of the Gillette turf, and the Patriots win by a field goal. Who knows, bro? But
possibility, man. Well, last year we had about 36 to 37 entries. Let's set a goal. Let's set a goal with everybody watching, with all our subscribers, with all our followers. Let's try to get to at least 50. 50 entries will put the total pot at $1,000. We'll hit 4 figures. All right, so if you're watching this, we'll cut it and we'll put out a little promo. Share it with your friends. Besides winning the pot, you can have bragging rights as well to see who. I'm not going to finish that sentence.
And we have a segment every Sunday, about the Survivor, just like we have the starts of the week for fantasy. We have a little segment, so if y'all want to play, it's $20. Get an entry, get 2, go along with us. Edgar, there is no bye weeks for Survivor. You got to pick every week. And if you pick a team, or if you don't pick a team and they have a bye week, your chances only get smaller, from the pool to pick with. It does take strategy. That's why, like Roland and Ron said, they tried getting a little cute last year, but it's awesome, bro. It's really fun. You're not tied to one team every single week. So it's really fun to play along with.
Yeah, and sometimes when fantasy's not hitting or something, you can at least take that small victory. You're like, at least I survived in Survivor. Yeah,
all back on your Survivor pool.
Yeah. And you don't even got to think about spreads. It's simply win or lose. But that's it, guys. We appreciate y'all joining us. We went a little long this show, but hey, it's fun to be back. We had a lot to say, and I'm gonna go ahead and take us out of here. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment, and we will see y'all for the rest of the 2024 NFL season. We talking about sports. See y'all later.